Welcome to the October Office Add-ins community call. We will be having a bit of a shorter call today than usual due to the fact that today is also Microsoft's Ignite conference, if you have a chance to attend that as well today. With that being said, for our agenda today, we're having two presenters. We'll be discussing updating the ASP.NET server in Visual Studio, and we also have a feedback request for Excel add-in auto launch install function. We want to learn what you guys think about it. We want to get feedback about it. All right, so our two presenters will be David Chesnut, who's a senior dev writer at Microsoft, and Yawei Zhu, who is a senior product manager at Microsoft. David, you want to take over?
Yeah, thanks, Preethika. Hi, everyone. My name is David Chesnut, and I wanted to talk about creating Office add-ins in Visual Studio and how you can update the ASP.NET template that you get with that. All right, so I've got Visual Studio here, and I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to choose the Excel web add-in. This has been around, seems like forever in Visual Studio. I'll give it a name, just call it Contoso. And you'll notice like the only framework options you get are 4.8 or 4.72, which is pretty old. And so I'm going to go ahead and create this. This will create a little task pane Excel add-in. And what I wanted to show is like how you can update that. I don't know if it's super obvious to folks, so I thought maybe I'd just do a quick demo of how you can do that in case you want to work with a different framework. And what it will do is create two different projects, and I was going to talk about those, and in particular how you can change some of the settings on the projects. All right. So in the Solution Explorer, on the right side, you can see there are two projects. There's the Contoso Web, and that's the ASP.NET server. And there's also this Contoso project. And all this project does is it has the XML file in it, which is the manifest that describes the Office add-in, and it sideloads it. In fact, sometimes what I like to do is just rename this to make it a little more obvious. So I'll just call it like sideloader. And if you look at the project properties, for this in the bottom, you can see there's a web project, and the start document, you can change like which client it's launching from desktop to browser and so on. So this is where you can control what it's doing. So what I'm going to do is add a new project by just right clicking on the solution, and we'll say add a new project. I'm going to pick an ASP.NET Core web app. I already had my history here, so I'll just pick that. And call it Contoso, ASP.NET Core. And then here I can pick which framework I want. So in this case, like I could pick .NET Core 3.1 or .NET 6.0. So I'm going to pick the 6.0 one. And then it should go create that project. And here it is. And because it's in alphabetical order, it went to the top of the project list. And we can see its structure is a little different than the old ASP.NET style. So what we can do is now I want to launch this project instead of the old one. So I'll go to my sideloader project and change this. You can see it sees it in the solution now. So I can pick my Contoso ASP.NET Core, say, yes, let's associate it with that. Then just to double check, you always want to make sure your startup projects are correct. It usually does this for you, but you can go in and look at it and say, I want the sideloader to start because that will sideload. And I want my ASP.NET Core server to start, so that's set to start. So that's good. Then if we want to bring over the old project, so let's go take a look. The next thing you're going to want to do is just update your manifest. So I want to load this index page because that's what the new project uses. The old one was using this home HTML file. So what you want to do is go into your manifest, and you need to update any resources that are pointing at something in the old project. For example, there's these images that were in the old project, so I want to bring those over, which is in this folder. What I can do is just drag this up and put it onto my www root. So I have all those. There's also a function file for this particular exercise. I'm not going to use it. It's not necessary for this simple project. I also need to take out this function file reference up here. That's just the file that loads your app commands for like the buttons, if you have buttons. In this case, we're not going to have any though. And then I want to change my home HTML because that's going to be index. So I'll just take it out and leave it at a default, which will map to the index page. And let's see if it starts. That should start. So as long as I didn't forget anything. So it's going to run the sideloader project and launch Excel and launch the server. So you can see the server launched in its own page. So you can see it's working. And we can see over here, it's loaded into the task pane. And we just have this default ASP.NET page that comes up. So if we want to do something that's a little more Office-like, we can make a few more changes here. These are just some more things to think about. So let's say I go to this index page in my new project. Let's add, I've got some snippets here you can use. Let's put an input button on there just to load some sample data. And then we're going to put that sample data into the spreadsheet. So there's my button. And then I also need to add my onReady call for Office because you want to get notified when it's initialized. So copy this code here. And what this will do is gives me my onReady. And this site's JS file gets loaded into each page that gets shared out. And it's going to load some sample data where it just makes up some random values, and then it's going to call excel.run and get the range B through D5 and set the values and context sync. So it writes those values out. And then the final thing we need to do to make sure this will run is actually pull in Office.js from the CDN. So we'll take this script tag here. And in this ASP.NET project, it's using these layouts. So I'll go into my layout, CSHTML. Now at the bottom here, I'm going to put in that script tag. I'm going to be sure it's just before the site.js because site.js is going to use what's in there. So I got to get it in the right order. And let's go ahead and this will just save and run. Uh-oh. Oh, that's interesting. Does this actually work? I'm not sure why that error came up. I might just need to clear the cache. Sometimes when you're editing the same project, it can get confused. Let me just do that real quick. Let's close that. I always have a shortcut to this WEF folder so I can update this. Just delete all the files in there. Give it another try. If it still doesn't work, then what I do is I switch over to the browser just to look and see if there's errors occurring. I might have got something in the wrong order. Nope, looks like it's fine now. So, yep, inserts the data. So that is how you can update your project to use a different project. And the key is just remember it's this little sideloader project that you just point to whichever one you want to load.
Great, thanks, David. All right, Yawei, do you want to start talking about your investigation?
Yeah, thank you, Preethika. And hi, everyone, this is Yawei. Some of you may remember me trying to promote the open Excel patterns on the community call in August. And after that, we want to try to do something more. We want to investigate how we can provide the auto launch, auto install function to developer, to users, since nowadays the user really can have some hard time to find the Excel add-ins or other Office add-ins. So we're trying to investigate if we can provide a safe ways, under control way to provide this auto install and auto launch function to developers. So here is the Forms QR code that I'd like to invite all of you to scan it and give me the feedbacks about how you can think about this auto launch scenario, and the auto launch function can help with your add-ins growth or your add-ins usage. And we really like to deliver this function with good user experience and under control. We don't like the developer or other people to abuse it, and we really want to use it on under reasonable scenario. So please help us and give us some feedbacks about how you think about this auto launch and auto install functionality. Thank you. And you can also ask me questions in the chat. What was to be auto install? Yeah, I'm trying to have some scenario like if you use one add-ins in your file, and these add-ins can create some data or some chart or some other elements in this file, and you share this file to other users, and that user does not have this add-in installed. So maybe this is a good scenario that we can auto install the add-ins for the other users. Yeah, this is an imaginary scenario that we think it might be reasonable, but we also need to get some feedback from the real life developer. If we want to let the user auto install add-ins for user, it might have the experience that this add-ins this text pane just pop out and have the trust screen and tell the user that these add-ins can be installed. You have to trust it, and this can help with your workbook or your documents, something like that. Yeah, might be a good case if start with add-in from the blank workbook. Yes, thank you very much, and I really hope you can fill these forms and leave your contact information that I can reach out to you for further communications. And thank you. I think that is all my part, and I will continue to answer the question in the chat channel. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Yawei.
Thank you, Preethika.
All right. Okay, so we also wanted to have a quick community spotlight to Eric Legault for presenting at the last community call. It was great, and we just wanted to quickly give him a shout out. Moving forward, we also have the Q&A section of this call. So these are some questions that were put in the forums prior to today's call. So one of the questions, it's pretty long, so I'm going to summarize it, but essentially it was asking about a community call we had last April, where owner had made a presentation regarding PowerPoint APIs, and he had a few snippets regarding what it would look like on ScriptLab. There's been a request to be able to see those, and we've reached out to him, and we'll be posting those soon, probably on the blog, which will be coming out a little bit after this call. So you could probably look there to see those snippets. And another question was, when will the Microsoft Word Forms APIs be added to Office.js? So there's currently no exact plans on when we're going to do that. There's no dates or anything I can provide. It is on our radar, but there's no exact plans on when this will happen. And lastly, we received this question this morning. So someone was wondering if it was possible to write Outlook add-ins that will work with their Gmail account to set an email signature in Outlook using event-based activation. We haven't had a chance to look into this, so I don't have an answer right now, but it will be answered in the blog post for this month. Great, so this is just some quick links if you're new to Office add-ins and you want to learn more. Once again, this will also be in the blog post, how to engage with our team. So if you have technical questions about Office add-ins, feel free to go to this link right here or go to our Stack Overflow and post about it. We also have a product bugs page as well on GitHub where you can file issues, and we'll triage them and have set product managers / engineers look into it. And there's also a feature requests and ideas page. And yeah, you can send a reaction saying if you like Office or not. These are the series of calls that we also have other than the Office add-ins community call if you're a part of any other platform that you want to look into. So feel free to join these as well. And our next community call will be November 9th at 8 a.m. Feel free to add any questions to our forums prior to that if there's anything you wanted to learn about. But that's it. That'll be all for the call today. Thank you.